All right, we are getting back to it, everyone, on the RS660. Last time you saw us install the front brake lines. Today, we're gonna be putting on the Ohlins shock, as well as the Spider rear sets. So this will kind of be a bit of an explanation of how those go together, because I know some people have been a little bit confused, so we'll help you out with that. But yes, today, rear sets, shock, and keep on moving forward on this bike and getting it ready to go racing. All right, so Brian's assembling these on the bench a little bit. What pieces are you using Loctite on?
Toe pieces, bolts there, anything that's going together. Once we finally assemble it 100%, all the bolts for everything going in will have Loctite.
Okay. For mounting the main plates of the rear sets together, you're going to want to use Loctite on these Allen bolts here that are not rounded. Just a little tip there, because I know some people have been having issues with what hardware to use where. All right, so we got the riders right all assembled off of the bike here. Nice pieces down in here is that Spider provides provisions for the rear brake light if you're planning on running these on a street bike. Everything, of course, Loctited together with the exception of the peg, because we're not finalized on the position of that. But anytime you're putting together rear sets, it's always a good idea to be using Loctite throughout the whole process. So you can kind of see how the lever here mounts to the back of the rear set using the bolts with the rounded heads opposed to the bolts with the non-rounded heads. So the two bolts with the rounded heads, of course, are going to be for the brake lever and the shift lever. So Brian's getting the other side all mocked up now, and oh, we're actually assembled. So here's a look at the other side. Again, everything Loctited and bolted together with the exception of the foot peg itself, because that might move. And yeah, we're going to get to throwing these on the bike now. All right, so we've got the bike jacked up. That way Brian could pull off the swing arm pivot bolt here that holds together, you know, all that, the rear set onto the bike in the stock form. And of course, with this Spider rear set, it's the same thing. You're gonna need a spacer if you plan on removing the kickstand entirely from this bike, because it bolts in down here and the kickstand bracket itself acts as a spacer. From there, you have your quick shifter wiring running up into the bike, and then also your kickstand cable comes up here into the bike. Something that we're going to be able to do once we have our ECU mapping or remapping available from Aprilia, we're going to be able to completely remove the kickstand plug without the need of a loop or anything of that nature. And then we're also going to be able to program in standard or GP shift depending on your desired shifting method. So if those kind of things are what you're looking for, stay tuned, as we will hopefully have something from Aprilia here very shortly to where we'll be able to remap your bike and make those changes. And even as far as having things like the pair valve completely disabled, so that won't be an issue either. All right, bit of a time warp there. Brian, can you kind of talk us through what we had to do there?
Yep,
to
you ship the bike here and we'll take care of it.
Ship the bike here and we'll take care of it. But in all seriousness, this bolt here that holds on the rear set is the main swing arm pivot. So it's what the whole swing arm pivots on the back of the bike. So you got to get the bike supported from underneath so the swing arm isn't bearing any of the weight of the bike, and then tap it out through that side and kind of hold stick something through the pivot here carefully to support the weight of the bike while you pull out the entire bolt on the other side, and then you can slip the bolt back in with the other rear set in there, and then that'll kind of have this side taken care of, and then again kind of slide it through, get it through, and then put this rear set on this side, and then that's the main part of this. That's a struggle. Some things you'll notice, we're completely removing the kickstand and the kickstand bracket. Being that this is going to be a full-blown race bike, we're not going to need that. So keep an eye out for spacers to eliminate that, available on our site soon. And then past that, on this side, we're not going to be retaining the stock brake light switch in the rear, this unit here. But one nice thing that is, if you do buy these rear sets for street use, you can still use the stock rear brake light switch. So just a nice little tidbit that Spider thought of in this process. All right, that's the left side of the rear sets. I mean, both rear sets actually finalized. We had this a little bit backwards for a moment. Thanks for that, Brian. So that's the left side and right side rear sets completely finalized on the bike. Maybe you might move around the peg a little bit for depending on rider preference and things of that nature. The right side is also complete, again, with no brake light installed. We got to mount up the banjo and then throw the shock in real quick, and we're going to call it a day on this one.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right, we pulled out the stock shock. It's very simple, being that there's no linkage on this bike. So literally, you know, you just got to get the top and bottom bolt 15 millimeters, have the bike still supported, obviously, so there's no weight on the shock, and then slips right out of there. And this Ohlins one that we got should be fairly simple going in. So we will see. Shock is in. Once again, very easy. Just jacking the bike up and down so everything lines up nicely. These lines are going to be routing out of the top left of the shock and then coming out on the right side of the bike to the bracket here. And then we're going to get this mounted up and show you guys the location of that. So this is kind of how this bracket mounts up in here. It uses the stock location for the passenger pegs and then bolts up and keeps your adjusters up and out of the way and your gas cartridge and everything. Overall, the fit and finish, pretty spot on for a development shock and a test fit. Same with the rear sets, even though these aren't as much as a development. These have been, you know, Spider have had these on track in Europe on numerous occasions, testing them and refining their design. So we know the rear sets are stout. We know the shock will do it, being Ohlins and everything else. And yeah, we're just excited to keep picking away at this and get this thing on the dyno and just keep on bolting on parts. While we were at it, we threw on the M6 Spider spools. All the stuff that you've been seeing on this video is available on hsbkracing.com, the link to which will be in the description of this video. And if you're interested in anything, please check it out. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and give us a call, and you'll probably end up talking to me, and I'll try to point you in the best direction that we can. But for the most part, we're just about wrapping up here, and Brian's just grabbing some more hardware for this thing, and then we'll give you a final look at it. All right, we finalized this bracket up here. Nice and easy. We did have to change out the bolts because the ones that hold up the passenger pegs are just too long. There was too much of a shoulder on them for this to work properly. So this is a final look at what the shock setup looks like. I'm personally a really big fan of this. I think it's really neat. Keeps everything kind of tucked up out of the way. Everything bolted up perfectly. And once again, if you're interested in any of these products, you can check them out down below at hsbkracing.com. We have everything in stock, ready to ship. I have, yeah, literally everything in stock, ready to ship tomorrow. So if you're interested, please check it out, and we'll keep moving. But
don't forget your super difficult install of the spools.
Oh, I did install the spools. I already showed him that. Oh. Brian was very proud of me for installing the spools. But in all seriousness, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day, and we'll see you guys in the next one.